זה.
לכו למסור בוקרים, שאם תרצי עוד מים, אני אמזוג לך.
בסדר. יש לי גם קפה וגם...
הרדיו החברתי הראשון. הכוח חוזר לאנשים.
Hi, good morning from Tel Aviv, from sunny Tel Aviv. I have again the great privilege to be here with Building the Future the Israeli Way with my close friend Neta Pulvermacher, which is a choreographer, dancer, performer. She said that she wants to say that she's also a human being, but I think it goes way beyond. I think she's humanistic. So before we start, I just want to tell you that we have a new initiative which is going to be regarding health. It's an Israeli initiative, and we believe that early detection of any kind of disease is crucial, and taking care of our health is extremely important. Out of 60 million people who are dying every year, at least 30 we could have saved. So this is our mission right now. So we are going to launch a newsletter, which is going to be health in 7, because we don't want you to spend more than 7 minutes on it, and it's going to be extremely, to the point, what is happening, what is going to be happening, what is behind the horizon, and on top of it, what can be done right now. Very pragmatic advices. So I'll give the information in a week or two. We're working on it right now, and we are going to use AI, a very advanced AI that Peter Diamandis, my mentor, created with Future Loop. So I'm highly excited to let you know it's an Israeli initiative, but it's a global one, and this is going to be our contribution to the health of all of us, citizens of the world. So that's it, and now I want to start the second half of our conversation, and I think for me it's a huge pleasure.
For me too, thank you, Yahli.
And joy to spend more time with my dearest friend Neta. So today we want to cover the things that we didn't have the time to cover. We didn't have enough time to cover in the last session. So Neta, can you first of all tell us how the corona, met you? I mean, what was the encounter of you and the corona as a choreographer, as a creator, and as a leading professional, not only in Israel but in the global dance scene and art scene? And what do you think was the impact? We're still in it, but still, I think there are things to be said already, I think.
So the impact of COVID was huge in many, many aspects of the profession or of the art form. One is definitely that we were closed, right? We were quarantined, each in their own space. Yet, how do you maintain your practice? How do you maintain your daily body practice? So that's the first issue. So we each found a way, and there was kind of like a mushrooming kind of programs, online programs for at-home dance practices. Gaga, which is the movement language of Ohad, Nahari, an Israeli choreographer, world-renowned, offered, I think it was nearly for a year, free Gaga online classes several times a day, which were streamed by, on Zoom for anybody.
I didn't know that. This is a wonderful initiative.
They continue, but now you have to pay. I think they're continuing. I didn't follow.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's an enormous effort for him and for the company, and so okay.
It was not only an effort. There was a really good thing about it, because before that we didn't use technology in that way. Like he could teach people in China, in Japan, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Africa, wherever, because technology, you could do it anywhere in the world at your own environment.
Yeah.
And be connected to your body.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Yeah,
and then we had this closure. The theaters were closed absolutely shut down all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So the sort of the main expression of our art form was not available. So we had to rethink, what can we do? What is open to us? So people started to make video dances. For a while it was like the exquisite corpse. Every company in the world, you know what exquisite corpse is? The game with the paper that a person draws, folds, and give it to someone else.
Okay.
So you did like a few seconds, and somebody else saw the end of your few seconds and continued from there. So every company in the world basically did this thing. But then people really started to think about, what else can dance do? How can we disseminate this art form in a new way? So video technology, podcasts. It was this notion that maybe we could have a dance for the radio, which is a crazy idea, which is like what we're doing now. So, for example, I started to think that it's a great idea because I remember as a kid that I loved taskiot, hesket. I loved like radio plays.
Okay, meaning that as it started in the I don't know 20 and 30, when people were simply, the actors were simply speaking, and you had to wait week after week, to hear what is.
Yeah, I remember Shaul and Johanna every Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
I used to as a kid, I used to want to listen. It was at 6 p.m. in the afternoon on Sunday, and I waited from week to week. So that kind of like brought me the idea that it would be extraordinarily interesting to think about dance as a dance for a radio, because it's oxymoron. Like, how do you do that? So then I started to say, okay, it's a little similar how sports broadcasters broadcast, say, a soccer game or basketball. So I started to experiment with it. And think about, okay, is that really interesting? No. Okay. Because there isn't really, in a dance, there isn't like the competition aspect. But I had to find a way. So I presented it, and
How long were you, experimenting with this radio dance idea?
Actually a lot, and it's been a fascination for several years, because it's sort of like taking something out of its context completely, and by doing that, you're seeing something new about that which you do. Yeah,
and so what the Corona added, if it's something that you've been working or thinking about,
so
it's really different. So what was the difference during the Corona?
I put out an RFP.
We are saying Corona, we should say it's probably COVID-19.
COVID-19. I put up an RFP together with Machol Shalem, which is a dance organization in Jerusalem, asking people to suggest subjects for a podcast that has to do with dance in a new way. So people chose really interesting things. For example, Tzfira Stern, a Jerusalem choreographer, went and recorded all the protests in Balfour.
Wow.
And like sound bites.
These were the protests against
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu, and I would say the declaration of the people that we want him out. So.
And actually, speaking about Corona, the protests became a form of performance, activist performance.
Can you explain? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, it was. Everything was closed. Artists, just like everybody else, wanted to express their dissatisfaction with the regime, with the government, but they wanted to do it through their own means. So people started to develop these performative acts that were done in Balfour and wherever they did it. So there were like different characters that people invented. Dances. Roy Asaf, I think, had people volunteer to do a dance.
Wow.
Over and over again in several of these
Very
demonstrations.
interesting. Like they took it and they created, the demonstration became a platform for artistic...
But it was the opposite. The reason behind it was we wanted to protest the situation, but we would use our language. You understand? It's not just like, okay, we want to perform and this is like the first opportunity that we have.
Yeah.
No, the kind of motivation behind it was that we wanted to participate in a civil sort of act, civil protest.
Yeah, but then to do it in our way, which is the artistic way.
Right.
I think it's beautiful.
And there were like drumming circles and stuff. I sometimes had a problem with it because it felt like a little party. Like I felt like,
okay, so it doesn't feel like a protest of anger and okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But it worked. Like
he's not with us today, at least
What else? So people really, it really started to pay attention to media and technology, and how to translate this really fluid, elusive kind of art form to a different medium. A different media. And it's a very tricky thing because there were so many people made dance videos and in their living room that if I see one more, I'm going to throw up. You know what I mean? And like, how many times could you see someone like fall on their on the couch and do some maneuver and then get up again? And again, it brings up this notion of what do you want to say? What is your story?
Yeah.
Especially in the media like video,
where you have to be very precise and very accurate. I think in many ways, right? And
because it's if we don't use words, what is it that is going to hold the attention of the viewer?
Yeah, and also it's not in a theater play that you have all the energy. You feel the energy. Energy is very important when you go to any kind of
live performance.
Yeah, and definitely for dancing. So, and you can see the sweating, and you can see what the action, and you can see what is. You have all the time a hint what is happening behind the scenes and what they're going to bring out or whatever. So.
Absolutely, and people tried to do Zoom performances. So that's like a kind of a hybrid between live and recorded, like live Zoom. But you know that it's extraordinarily tricky because Zoom was not really a new technology, but there was a lot of
but I also
technical
think
glitches.
Sorry, but I also think it's very hard for the performer because you get your energy from the audience and suddenly you're alone and you have to envision in your head. I think it's also, we should take this into consideration. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And also, unlike live performance, you can frame. So in building something for Zoom or for the screen, you have to know that you can frame a section just for the heads or just for the hands or just for the feet or just for like my little shoulder, and the focus of the camera could be that. You could go in and out of the frame, like exits and entrances in the theater, and if you left it as a documentation of a performance, it would be horrible. It wouldn't work. So a lot of those things didn't work. I went to several and participated in several, but it's a grand failure because it's a search for a new language maybe that combines.
Neta, do I recall correctly that Pina Bausch was also experimenting with videos in many ways?
I don't think that was her main focus, but a lot of people were interested in her work, like Almodovar with Talk to Her, which he used.
So you finished experimenting with the radio, at least for now, and what was happening then? What was the next stage in your journey for?
Okay, so I was in the very first quarantine period.
Yeah, which was about 3 months.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Very
I
quite
was
long.
on a half sabbatical.
Yeah.
So luckily, I didn't have to teach dance on Zoom because to me, teaching dance on Zoom or composition or rehearsing on Zoom, it's like teaching driving in correspondence or swimming in correspondence.
Okay.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
But I took the time to take a really serious writing course, and I really enjoyed it. And I couldn't travel anywhere, so I made the most out of it. I made art, but then it ended, and the second semester, I started. Oh no, it was the first. In October, early October last year, we started the year, and I'm the artistic director of the Jerusalem Academy of Music and Dance Ensemble, and I had this assignment to make a work with them, which I will speak about in a moment.
Yeah.
But the first thing that had to happen was to have an audition, and we couldn't do it live. I had to do it on Zoom. How do you do that? These are people that you don't know. It's the first time that they're seeing me.
And then there is a sense of alienation on top of the of the fact
Right.
that you don't know each other and there is no mutual connection or previous. Suddenly, on top of it, you have the technology which is empowering the alienation and
Right.
the distance and the emotional distance. So how did you do that?
So I really thought about it, that teaching a certain phrase and having them do it and watching them on video wouldn't be the way to go.
Okay.
It would be...
Why?
Because it takes longer to learn this way movement.
Okay.
It's also, I wouldn't really see them as much. I wanted to see who they are.
What do you mean when you say you want to see them as they are? I think
As
it's
people.
Okay,
I wanted
so
to...
beyond the technique. That's what. Can you
Yes.
elaborate on that? Yeah. I think it's very interesting
So actually, I posed a question which was great for them, which I will translate. And they had to kind of write a short text. And the question was, really write down an anecdote or situation, a place, a period, a moment where you discovered something that was absolutely meaningful, that either you did or that somebody did, or that you were a witness to something that somebody did or to an event, and that made you realize something for the very first time in your life.
Wow.
And that the change that it has caused you, or in your environment, or the people that are close to you. So it touches upon a moment of transformation, which I felt like we all were faced with this change of paradigm because of the pandemic, but also on a personal level. And to realize that those moments are not limited to a pandemic, or that these sort of...
What is very interesting in what you're saying is that you wanted them to be
vulnerable.
vulnerable. That I think about vulnerability, and that you have to come as you are, and you have to be extremely honest about, because this is
Because our work together
Yeah.
is a dialogue. It's never ever like Neta is lecturing. It's completely influenced by who is my partner, who is the dancer. I cannot really be inspired by a doll. It's not working for me. I want to engage with people,
Yeah.
the entirety of who they are. So what they did
What
is
you're saying is that in any case, your creation is a mutual creation. It's not this genius which is sitting on the top of the hill, and suddenly he has this eureka moment, and he comes up with down. So it's definitely the opposite. It's like bottom up in many senses, you would say, even if you have an idea.
Yes, because my philosophy or my pedagogy and really the way that I operate in the world, beyond dance, but definitely within my professional life, is through the assumption that nothing in the world exists in a vacuum. Everything that we do or we are is always relational to something other than ourselves.
Relational, also connected.
Connected and relational.
Okay.
You cannot really become without something to either be against, next to, with.
Okay.
The relationality makes the thing what it is, the connectivity.
Okay.
So that with that idea, it's very important that the dancers, the students understand that that's also really, this is how technology works. The whole World Wide Web is rhizomatic, it's like the grass, you can start anywhere and connect to infinite ways. And the choices you make where to connect after all the infinite possibilities opens up or make it what it is or present a point of view. Because you deal with it.
Yeah, I know, but it's very important that you say so. So you how did they see it as because these are young dancers?
Yes.
How did you relate that? Because even I think this is a lot to ask for someone which is quite young and but himself is going through a process of really even getting to know himself, and then
because it precisely, it's like cut out the bullshit and go deep.
Yeah.
This is what I'm interested in.
Yeah. And how did they relate to that? I'm interested.
Oh, they wrote beautiful things, and then not only that, I said this is really just a reason for us to get to know each other and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But you should record this connects to the podcast idea.
Okay.
You should record yourself on the phone telling this story.
Wow.
That was the first thing.
Wow.
And then in your own home, perform for us when you say the text or different kind of, I call it like states or actions that you do that are choreographed, that are done to the sound of your own voice telling this story. So that was like our first meeting, and it was really moving because they used it, and then I used it. So that was like the first, and then we started to. I already thought about so I chose people.
Yeah.
I showed them also the different works that I was really interested of different artists, and I said, you're going to be part of a creative research project, which is going to be great because it is. You are privileged because it's agreeing to not know.
I think also very interesting that why did you make a decision? Because for people who are not artists, art is about emotions and expressing yourself, and research is extremely scientific. It's extremely logical in a sense. So again, do I sense correctly, or perhaps I misunderstood, that you're taking again a recombination of things that are totally, different, or even, I would say opposite to each other? Research, extremely, should be very, very, correct, very precise, scientifically, it should be, very logic, and then art. And especially, and also it says it's related to the mind. By dancing is totally the whole body, and so why did you do that? I'm interested to know how come you did this.
There is really no conflict or dichotomy between research and creative process. It's one of the same, because it just because we start with a question or we start with an intuition. Both real research. Einstein said that. He said that science gets you from point A to B, but imagination gets you everywhere else, you know.
So what you're saying that the dichotomy of thinking about science and art is totally separated or opposite?
Right.
You
We
don't
know
agree
that
with
because the
Okay.
creative class, whether
Yeah.
this whole talk about the creative class and creative cities and creative this and creative the creative profession and the qualities of a creative person or professional, this is some creativity is something that is shared by so many fields and is so necessary.
Yeah.
The ability to connect seemingly disparate elements.
You know, there is a great book that people went, I forgot the names of the researcher, forget me, but they analyzed all the people who got the Nobel Prize. And they found three things which are very interesting. First of all of them had any kind of artistic interest. For example, there was the first one that got, I think, in chemistry. He wasn't willing to send, usual New Year cards. He had to draw them himself. He was drawing. Another thing which was interesting that none of them saw himself, they were jumping from different subject. And then in the last subject that they, in the end, focused on, what they were doing work is in the intersection between the different domain. It was never one domain, but in the intersection.
Right.
Yeah, so
it's beautiful because it's what you're saying, because really it's the liminal space between something and the something else, which has the most meaning, because this is exactly the point where the two meet.
Brilliant.
So it's really also the process that I choose to engage in and chose to engage in that this year, but also a lot in my work, is a meeting of mind and body and thoughts and emotions. It's never one thing, It's never like, and again, it's relational to.
Yeah, but also because people were so alone, so suddenly you have a time, in a sense, even to go. You didn't have to go. You didn't have to go to a Zen or Buddhistic resort, because this is in the sense. This is what you were doing. The reflection in your home, in a sense. Was this?
Wait, repeat your question.
I was asking whether you made the decision to put and emphasize on this, because this was the essence of the corona, in the sense that everybody were under quarantine at home, and it's like, in a sense, like going and do vipassana process in any kind of a Zen Buddhistic resort or something. So in a sense, the Zen Buddhism came into our home.
That's one thing, and the other thing is that, really unrelated to that, I convened, and I asked you to come and speak. I convened a meeting which was like a break in between the two periods of quarantine. It was luck.
Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't come.
Right.
Unfortunately,
And it was purposefully, it was a think tank about really the questions that this period raises about higher education, about dance, about what the meaning of it all, how can we do it, about different models. And while we were there and enjoying, because it was one of the first time that we engaged in a table after a long time, and it was in August 2020. Alma Livne, who is my former student, and she's now also dancing in my work, kind of said, reflecting on this period, she said, it's like, it's parking. It's like we're parking, like this state of Buddhism. And then I went, like the entire world, it seems, and it's rare, definitely didn't happen during our lifetime, is in a long-term parking state, not really knowing where it's going and not knowing for how long. And I kind of was like,
when are we going to restart?
Yes. And I said, this is like such an interesting state. Like in terms of...
Yeah. In a sense, you're staying, but also there is an anticipation when it's going to end, and what do I do in the meanwhile?
Yeah, when I don't know. So many don't know.
Unknowns. There were so many unknowns.
And then I said, oh, wow, parking. And because the word parking is also for car park, I was like, wow, what if we use this parking state to research, to invent, to kind of experiment with new formats of live performance. Initially, and we do it in a parking lot, and we do it as a drive-in, and this way, not the dancers and not the audience are endangering their health. So that was the initial idea of this thing.
That's so beautiful, meaning you took the metaphor of parking.
Right.
And you simply translate it into real life, but relating to the context that we were all in.
Right. And
so no one was really, that's brilliant.
So I went to the mayor's office in Jerusalem, and they were all like, wow, that's great. We want to do it. And they were willing to throw a lot of money.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, in the middle of the corona, they would,
because it's like, what do we do? Like, everybody was trying to find ways.
No, but I'm saying that they could embrace art. That's what I'm saying. While you have so many problems and you have sick people and the unknowns are so huge, and there is so much insecurity in the air. I think I really kudos to them. I mean, it's very unconventional decision.
It's true, and we went and we chose.
Why do you think? How do you think? Because was it a surprise for you as well?
No. Yes and no, because I felt like everybody was looking for formats that are sort of new,
But this is brilliant. Come on, that's brilliant.
So
the idea that everybody are passing through and they don't have to stay and.
But here's the situation: it's like they wanted a commitment.
Yeah.
For me, that the performance that it will be a performance, and that it will take place in such and such time. And I said, "Are you crazy? That's one thing we have learned. This Corona process, you cannot say that it will be in February 2nd, because maybe Corona will be blah, blah, blah. I'm willing to say that we are researching this. And there will be a result for this. It might be live show, it might be a video, but the main focus is the opportunity to think about different formats that deal with this state, this parking state that we're in. And you have to embrace this notion that you're joining in a creative research process. And so that was hard for them to swallow. So I said, I understand. Thank you so much, and I will go on my own.
Wow, Neta, this was so brave.
Yes, and I submitted a proposal for the Jerusalem Foundation, and they said yes. So I had the money, and then I raised some other money.
Neta, but I want to. Just for a second, I'm allowing myself, because we are close friends to us. This was extremely brave on you to say, well, how come you make such I'm serious, it's a corona, no one knows what's going to happen, you don't know and you're saying no to someone who could have been a very good partner in so many senses, and you respect the people. And
it's more complicated than that, because one of the things that I'm really committed to as a human being is complete freedom of imagination, and to really respect the process, because that's how I want to work and operate in the world. And I don't want to have no's. I don't want to have no's to have Palestinian artists, and I don't want to have no's to have this or that, because I think that the questions are so important that we have to just be willing to enter uncomfortable places.
No, but I'm saying there was the journey of the process. Of the project. There was the process of the people, but there was also your process. And I think, in a sense, each of them is remarkable, because you had. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision.
No,
you didn't say I'll have a cup of coffee and I'll make a decision.
No. I really deliberated and kind of like angst of a whole, like, what if not? Who is going to fund it and how are we going to do it? But ultimately, I felt like to do justice for this project, I had to really have a no string attached.
No wonder that Neta is a source of inspiration, right? You agree with me, probably, yeah.
But we parted
How long was it since you gave the notice to the Jerusalem municipality until you got the positive answer
from Jerusalem Foundation?
Yeah.
Gee, it was scary. It was
That's
in
what I'm
February.
thinking. Wow, so it was like
No, it was January. I remember.
so, like 4 months or so.
And I was like, I'm starting to work on this because I know that I have something, I know it's right. I know I
Brilliant.
feel it.
Brilliant.
And it was really interesting. So again, I put out an RFP for choreographers who are interested in
I'm
exploring.
not sure everybody knows what the expression can with the initials.
Oh,
What is
request for proposals for a willingness to engage, to create a new work that will be performed within a parking garage. And then our mutual friend, Nomi Fortis, introduced me.
Brilliant leader.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll meet her here again. Yeah, we'll meet her.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And
We should do something together.
Yes.
All three of us. Okay, we make it with her. Yeah.
So she said, I got the parking lot for you because this
Really?
is where we are, Mekudeshet and Filbet.
Okay.
Yes Planet. So she introduced me to Kfil, who is like the CEO of the many of them, and I said, can we do it in the underground parking garage of Yes Planet? And Yes Planet was closed and the garage was closed for a year and a half. So he said yes, and that it wouldn't cost us, but that we have to clean it. It was so dirty. It was so dirty. It was like a year and a half.
That no one cleaned it.
No.
May
Horrible.
I ask, was it intentional to have an underground parking or?
Yes.
Can you talk about that? Because I think this is also a very interesting, point.
And this is also like the craziness of being in Israel. Because
Tell us. Please tell us.
I thought that it would be performed in the winter initially. And I said, if it's in the winter, we can't do it outside in Jerusalem. It's too cold.
Too cold, okay.
And so that was just, it's a practical thing. But also, underground, it's like a whole, it connects to images, to things.
Okay.
And there were so many things, like to get the permits for it. And remember how it always changed. Like the instructor, you could have 100 people, you could have 30 people, you could have 50 people, and I had to like go by the seat of my pants.
You had to all the time to
adjust
iterate and just
adjust. And
Unbelievable. It's
initially we thought it would be a drive-in.
Yeah.
And then
And then what?
the police
What
said,
yeah. Why not?
we're not giving you. That was really quite late. Oh no, before that, Israel Festival became interested in this project.
Okay.
So they offered us to be part of the Israel Festival, which we said yes, because it was much better. It was June
Yeah.
and not February.
Yeah.
So with a hopeful outlook that by then Corona will be over, COVID.
Yeah.
But the police, so I think it was April. Yes, April. We were measuring how many cars can we fit in these 2 rows, and how many people can sit in each car so that they could see what's going on.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and how to create works that actually come very close to the car and maybe clean them, or what other acts could we do? We were like
Meaning
flying.
you're coming to see a performance, and also you're getting your car cleaned.
Like And also,
very practical.
and also like a performance for the frame of that window, you know.
Wow.
And we were spending time on it, and then the police said, you can't do that. You can't have cars at the same place the dancers are, and you can't have audience with cars.
Why?
Because of CO2
Yeah.
and also security. Like,
May I ask just, Neta, you are creating things for more than 30 years.
right.
When was the last time you had such a deep engagement with the police regarding your work? Is it also, no, I'm saying it's also something that was totally new during the COVID-19. You'd never had this discussion with the police on your creations. Am I wrong?
No, we did have, no, not with the police. No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
It's a new, suddenly there is a new,
Yeah, because
the
everything,
ecosystem is totally different suddenly.
every public gathering had to have a clearance.
Unbelievable. So what did you do? So they're saying you can't do
So
that?
I said to all the dancers and to the artists, to the other choreographers that participate, here's the situation. We're going to work with what we have to do. And then I was like thinking, okay, so the audience will park in -2 or -1,
Yeah.
and we will take them. Like we will take them on a walking trip.
Oh.
And then I said, that's going to be interesting. I'm going to purchase like a remote control toy cars. So I found Corvettes. They're really funny.
Okay.
2 like this size Corvettes, this size, beautiful red.
Yeah.
And they're going to lead the audience from the gathering point into the space, into the -3. It was beautiful, and during this time there was a public announcement saying that to the audience that they're going to meet a community that apparently has lived for a very long time in the garage, in the underground. And
So you created a story with, history and
Yes.
a legacy.
And
because
there
it's
was-
a tribe that was living in this,
in this parking state and parking garage.
And only the COVID-19 gave us the ability to
To
see
visit,
them.
to
Wow,
visit.
Wow.
So and
It's
then
like the Hobbit in a sense. Okay.
so it was really interesting, and the costumes.
Yeah.
I was like, it can't be costumes. It's wrong. Like everything has to connect to this period. So
So
I bought-
Yeah. What?
this COVID overalls, like with the zippers, and I said they're from like paper.
Yeah. Wow.
They're
Like for you're talking for people that are using it in the hospital. For
Right.
stuff in the university.
right.
People, professional staff.
And for
in the,
painters and for people that are doing like in clean rooms, like
because
the-
this is how it is. This is the reality of today. And
yeah, but I wanted to have it to like I looked on the internet, and there is like these either orange or blue stripe in here in the zipper and sometimes on the
Yeah.
side, and said this is interesting as a design element. So I took my blue quite thick masking tape
yeah. Yeah.
and started to tape. So this became our costumes.
So
but
in
then
a sense, this time you also created a custom for your performance, not only the
I don't know if to call them costumes. They're the
Doesn't
look.
matter, but what I'm saying, you were
Yeah.
taking care of, because you had to teach it has to be in line with the spirit of the
Yeah,
time.
that it has to be a world that is in complete coherence. All the elements have to come together.
I understand.
And of course, I wanted to have cars in the show. So we had cars. You came to the Herzliya Museum, which
yeah.
was a different reiteration of it.
Of course.
But in the underground parking garage, we had few sections with cars. That we were allowed 3 cars. never where the audience are. So if the audience were like here, and there was 2 rows of empty empty parking, and I could have him here.
Oh, wow.
So I choreographed it. It was like making a movie.
But also you had to, take care of the audience, meaning what, you asked the police officers to assist you? I mean, who was...
No.
So how
We
did-
worked on it. We had 5 ushers
Wow.
every show whose job was to help steer.
Okay. But
But the action itself moved you from a point to
how
point.
did you rehearse? I mean, you got your people. I can't understand. Were you rehearsing with them on Zoom? I mean, or you already were allowed to be in the same
Okay,
space?
it was such a long process.
Yeah, but
in the
I'm curious,
beginning,
yeah, because
we tried rehearsing with the Zoom.
yeah.
And with Mor Shani, a great choreographer, and the dancers were so frustrated, and he too, and me too. And so I said I'm going to do like the rebel act, and I'm going to request to meet with them one by one,
Wow.
in person, and create little solos which we can then
How many
use.
were? How many are in the? How many
Initially,
classes?
there were 13 or 14. We lost 4
Really?
to the process because they couldn't take it. You had to be willing to see
Beyond that.
the long haul.
Yeah, and
Because it's a
also-
process of trial and error, and if you're not willing to understand that that's what it takes, that's fine. Now you release them.
No, but in any case, I think it was probably heart-shattering for both people. I mean, for you and for them, because they knew that they were giving us something, but they didn't have the ability to deal with it. And for you, because you invested in these people in any case, or
Yeah, but it's okay.
no, it's okay. I know you're a teacher, so this is a part of what you do in any case. But so you stayed with 4 in the end, or
No, 10 people.
10 people? Okay.
10 people, 2 amazing opera singers, and 1 drummer.
Wow. Which
And-
for them as well, there was nearly any way to perform during this time. So.
And it was just remarkable.
Okay, and they probably for them was it the first?
It was the first time for the opera singers of being part of such a crazy project. Of like
So what you had a drummer, you had opera singers, you had dancers. What else?
lights
Lights. Oh, wow.
and sound, and it was high tech. Like
Wow.
like in terms of like not high tech like
No,
you
no,
know.
it's okay. It's okay. So everything is ready. Was the first performance? First of all, was it on the time that you thought it's gonna be, or was it the dates were
Delayed?
delayed or whatever?
It was like once, even a week before
Yeah.
the Israel Festival opened, there were still changes in the Tav Yarok, in the different limitations put. So initially it was, you can only have 50 people. And then they said, no, you can get 100. And you sell tickets. And you also, it's very different to build a show for 100 people or 120
Wow.
that have, some of it is built that some sections you're quite close, and some sections it's a huge parking lot. It's really like a movie set, and also this is a very beautiful parking garage. I never thought I'd say a parking garage is beautiful.
And how was the reaction? I mean, were people really? I mean,
Oh, they were like into it.
so how is this? You were sold out how quickly?
I mean, very quickly.
Very quickly. Wow. Were you
6
surprised by that? Yeah. Sorry.
6 shows.
Wow.
Which is a lot for a dance show of students, but really for any dance show
Yeah.
in Jerusalem, and also for the period.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because it's not just dance; it's what you said. It's like it's
Yeah.
engaging
Yeah.
audiences and people.
Was did anything surprised you when suddenly it came to life and you were there? Was there something when you were watching you said to yourself, "Oh, I didn't know this is going to happen"? I mean, were there any surprises? I mean, positive or negative when you think about the experience? when it's actually happening.
I'm surprised,
Yeah.
like that people can actually learn how to move from location to location organically if you structure the work smart enough.
When was the first time they were in the parking lot to do? Were there any rehearsals?
Well, we asked for
Yeah.
we asked for audiences in the dress rehearsal, but we couldn't really. It wasn't allowed. It was like
Wow.
crazy.
So what was
yeah,
the first time they came and they danced? They didn't have any rehearsal in the parking lot.
no,
Wow.
no. We rehearsed a lot
Okay.
in the parking lot.
Okay, so how long?
Oh, we were there once a week for months.
Okay.
Because some of the sections you couldn't really
Do if you're
do.
not, yeah. it's
I mean,
not-
you could do the materials, but they came together.
yeah, only when you were there. Okay.
Yeah.
So and
Because
and-
it's really, really site specific.
Okay.
And also, it so happened, and I also thought that upstairs it's this movieplex, the Yes
Okay.
Planet,
Yeah.
multi-screen, and I wanted this feeling that the movies, the characters from the movies somehow seeped into the dance, into the event.
This is so. How did you do that?
Well, because he felt the way it was edited and the lit and the cars and the movement. Like in one sections, a car is driving really slow and they're sitting. It's a Mini Cooper, and they're sitting above, like peeking through the roof because it's and out of the bagage, and 8 of them in the car, the little
Wow.
car.
Wow.
And the singer is there.
sounds like a,
and then they open the door
Yeah.
and they kind of go out like aliens a little bit. And then close the door and then the music starts. And the whole thing moves.
Okay, it sounds like a dream in a sense. The sense
And then
is
there
like,
yes, and then there is I thought it was really funny that each floor in the parking garage is on the pillars like a print or a drawing of characters from a movie.
Wow.
So -3 had Clint Eastwood from each pillar
Wow.
like this with
shooting at you. Yeah, shooting you. Yeah, sorry.
So I had to use it.
Wow.
I had to use it at least in one section. So I stole. I like to steal. I
Borrowed.
Looked-
You borrowed.
I borrow. Right. I took from Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
the famous
Yeah.
scene with Robert De Niro where he goes
Yeah.
with the practices shooting and talks to himself like how
Yeah.
and I made a duet out of it. It's so great. Next to the pillars. So you didn't
So you don't know whether what is imaginative and what is the real thing, and it's totally immersed, reality with dreamlike situation and
right.
brilliant,
It's what we call an immersive experience for the audience.
So, what were the reactions from the audience, from people who saw it? Was it also?
Some people, it was great. People loved it and said, "Oh, you have to do it here. You have to do it there." And for the older crowd, I would say, like people that had trouble standing, it's a little challenging because you have to move and stand and da 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 da. And also you have to know that it's not a theater, so sometimes the light is going to come in your eye. You have to be willing to not be
in your comfort zone.
Yes.
In a
But I
sense.
think that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
You
Because in any case, you're not in your comfort zone during the COVID-19. It's not
Right.
It's not that you're really,
you're entering a world for better or worse. And also I was very happy about that. And then that's also one of my principles, that there will be Palestinians or both dancers, choreographers, and the dramaturg and one of the singers were Palestinians.
When we are living together. So
Yes, we're living together, and I wanted to do it or present it in such a way that it doesn't say like, oh, the token, blah blah blah.
Okay.
No, it's the narratives that each of us has to say or to express has room in my world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and that.
And that, yeah. There is a space for everybody. There is
Right.
a place for everybody.
Without being like didactic about
Yeah.
it. It's just it's laid out like this.
You express it in real life. We'll have to finish like in a few minutes, Neta.
Okay.
No, unfortunately. We can speak forever. But can you share with us what are your plans for the coming future? And of course, if everybody wants to see this magnificent work of yours, where can they see it? And what are your plans for the coming year?
Well,
Or beyond? I mean, because I believe it's also change. I mean, you evolved during this period, and I think this work was, all your work are magnificent, but I think for you, I think it was a real experiment in different domains or from different perspective, which also were new to you, because everything was totally different. So I was wondering, where are you going to go with it, and from now, and what are your plans, if you can share with us, and of course where people can reach you and see your works.
You could go, first of all, where you could see what I do is there is a website which is www.neta.pulvermacher.org.
We can put it in the notes.
Yes.
Later? Okay, brilliant.
And there usually you can see which projects I'm working on and what is performing. We are continue to perform a solo which is based on my childhood, which is called Utopia in the Night. We have 6 shows coming up in different parts of the. I don't remember offhand,
It's
but
in Israel, or?
yes.
Okay.
In Akko we have one, in Jish in Gush Chalab, in Klo in Kfar Blum, in Misgav.
When is it? In December,
No,
January?
it's like between now and February we have, and I can have more shows of that. It's just a question. And then the public parking, I'm not sure yet. They're because the students are again starting a new year. I'm on sabbatical for the first semester, which is great for me.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm researching now just like a pre-creative process or part of the creative process, my family history in Berlin.
Wow.
And like really interested. There's something there that is calling me. I cannot really say more than that.
Where are they? Where did they survive the Holocaust? Or
Yes, like this. Not everyone, but my grandparents, my father's parents immigrated in 1933.
oh, lucky, very lucky, very lucky, very unusual. Unfortunately for the German.
But it was a very well-off doctors, thinkers, musicians.
No, but this is why it's so astonishing, because those people usually, they thought that they are going to be protected. Unfortunately, they weren't. So yeah.
And I want to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're right. I want to expand on to expand my palette of tools of expression.
That's brilliant.
To
go
because I
there.
think it's in the mixing of those.
So, in a sense, if there are any, artists of any kind who are listening and think that they can contribute or collaborate with Neta, can they reach you as well?
Of course, yes.
We will be able also to share your email, your
Yes.
private email, so everybody can know, because I think this is a time for global collaboration starting from here or whatever. So.
And I'm working with an actor,
Yeah.
Iftach Klein and Laliv Sivan on a sort of a strange work.
Okay. Wow.
As a director. So yeah, I'm trying to branch out of without leaving the body behind, but kind of
Taking the body to new
territories.
New journeys. Unfortunately, we have to finish. I could have stay here, I think, for 2 more hours at least, and I'm sure the audience as well was it was a fascinating conversation. I learned so much. It's very funny because we prepare a lot for this conversation, and every time something else is happening. Am I right,
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
So I want to thank all of you. Please don't forget to subscribe. It's Building the Future the Israeli Way. Next week we are going to have a very interesting guest and a very important photographer, and he has some beautiful initiative also in the same spirit, and so forth. And again, we are starting a new newsletter. It's going to be in the beginning it's going to be a weekly, and the target of it, the focus of it is how can we all enhance our health and get to the age of 200. No, I'm joking. 100 and really healthy and full of vitality and in our best of spirit, mind and body. So Neta, again, it was a great experience for me. I also want to thank Dina, which is assisting us with all the operation, and she does such a marvelous work. And of course to Lior, he's sitting here and taking such good care of us. And to Oz, who created this platform for the common people like us to express ourselves. So Oz, again, thank you for the initiative and for for this hospitality, which is so generous as always. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
הרדיו החברתי הראשון. הכוח חוזר לאנשים.